Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our best hard floor cleaner, aka Vacuum Mop Combo, competition video for late 2025. We bought with our own money most of the best-selling vacuum mop combos from all the major brands and put them through a grueling series of tests, including an all-new stain reduction test in order to find out which ones were actually the best. In this video, I'll go over all the tests we did, as well as the features and specs we took into account when coming up with our favorites. And in the end, I'll reveal what the top 5 overall winners were, as well as our budget pick. And I'll explain why, even though our number 1 pick is technically the best overall, our number 2 pick is actually the one I would recommend for most people in most situations. We're also launching our best hard floor cleaner top 10 list on our website, a page which will keep updated weekly as new products are tested. So check the links to everything in the description and let's get started. First, the basics. These hard floor cleaners have really taken the world by storm over the past couple of years, and I'll admit I was a skeptic at first, but after spending several months with the best of the best and seeing how far the technology has come, I have to say they're absolutely amazing for their main use case, that is vacuuming and mopping hard floors at a really high level. Here's how they work. You fill their clean water tank with water and the mopping solution. With the older machines, you had to manually dispense the water solution mix using a trigger on the handle. But these days, almost all of them have moved to automatic solution dispensing, where the machine decides how much water to use, which I think I've decided is a better system. Some of them even have sensors that detect how dirty the floor is or how much water you're sucking up, and they will automatically adjust the suction and roller speed based on that. Then you simply vacuum your floors as you would with a regular vacuum, just back and forth until you're satisfied that the floors are clean. All of these operate in almost the exact same way when it comes to mopping the floor. They use a roller that spins while water jets keep that roller moist, and at the same time a squeegee-like device squeezes out the dirty water and deposits it into a dirty water tank. In my opinion, these machines are best when used for whole home cleaning, keeping hard floors tidy and tackling light everyday stains, not for mopping up big messy spills. However, they can also be used to pick up big messy spills, and they're actually quite effective at that, though it does mean there's more cleanup afterwards, so that's not really my preferred use case. These machines can also pick up dry debris really effectively thanks to their soft roller systems. Some manufacturers mention that they can be used on small rugs as well, and while that technically can be done, it's generally not recommended. They don't agitate rugs very well, so they don't deep clean at all, and it would mean getting water on the rugs too, so definitely not the best idea, but in a pinch to get a piece of debris here and there, that's fine. After you're done using them, almost all of these have some kind of self-cleaning feature. You just put them on their dock, push a button, and they'll use the remainder of the clean water and solution in the tank to flush out the brush area and all the tubing inside. This feature has come a long way in the past few years, and maintenance is minimal as long as you do the basics, like emptying and rinsing the dirty water tank after each self-cleaning cycle. Now let's move on to some of the advanced features that have started showing up in the past few years. Of course, we gave them higher scores depending on whether or not a machine had these features. One of the most interesting features we've started seeing a lot more this year is the addition of steam, and not just in corded units either. We're now seeing cordless machines that incorporate steam as well. Steam is an alternative way to sanitize floors instead of using the included cleaning solution. And as we'll see later in the stain test section, the product with the best stain score did in fact use steam. But interestingly, just because a product had steam didn't automatically make it good at stain reduction. In fact, only one of the 4 machines that we tested that used steam had a top 5 score in our stain reduction test. Another popular new feature is side cleaning. This refers to how close the brush roller is to the side of the floor head, and therefore how close the machine can get to walls and baseboards. Some only have side cleaning on one side, others on both sides, and some not at all. Another big improvement we've seen this year is the the ability for these machines to lay flat on the floor in order to get under hard-to-reach places like beds or furniture. That used to not be possible because the water inside the dirty water tank would spill out if you tilted the machine too far, but that's apparently been solved, at least for some of these. Probably my favorite new feature, though, is hot air roller drying. When you put some of these machines back on their base, they automatically blow hot air onto the roller, drying it out very quickly, so that it doesn't have a chance to build up bacteria on the roller. That makes it far more sanitary than older generations of these machines, and yet another reason why I've really changed my mind about how useful these are. We also gave them points based on their specs and usability features. For example, weight is really important to us, so lighter models scored higher than heavier ones. All of them had really good swivels, meaning the slightest wrist movements could maneuver them in and out of tight spaces easily, which is important. Another big distinction is whether they were cordless or corded. Most of the ones we tested were cordless, and in my opinion, that's definitely the better experience. Not having to deal with a cord just makes using them so much easier, and they did get a few extra points in that case. Battery life was another factor that we considered, and they did get more points for having better battery life. But quite frankly, it's not a huge issue with these products. They don't require as much power as a full-size vacuum, so runtime is usually plenty for most homes. There were some battery-related features that some of them had that got them more points, like in-depth LCD screens that show the exact percentage of battery life left, which I think is extremely useful. Now, let's move on to the various tests that we did, starting with suction. We measured suction directly at the floor head, a metric we call usable suction. We tested all of them on their maximum power setting, and the results were pretty interesting. Bissell took the top 2 spots in suction power with the Crosswave Hydro Steam and the Crosswave OmniForce Edge. The Tineco Floor 1 S9 Artist Pro came in 3rd place, all of them with more than double the average suction of the group overall. But probably the most important test we did this year was our brand new stain reduction test. We modified this test quite a bit from our previous version. First, we used each machine exactly as directed, meaning we used their specific cleaning solution mixed precisely as recommended by the manufacturer. We also simplified the stains themselves. We now use only one type of stain, a pre-made cold-pressed coffee, which allows for much more consistency in testing, and I think makes the test a bit harder to get a perfect score of 208 points. Each stain varies in difficulty and has a corresponding points value. The test consists of 4 rounds with 2 timed passes per row per round. The machines have to remove as many stains as possible in those 4 rounds, and they earn more points the earlier they remove them. However, as we've learned over the years, stain removal alone doesn't tell the whole story, because even a bad machine can do good at this test if it simply uses a ton of water. But that's not ideal, because using too much water leaves streaks and takes forever to dry. So what you want is a machine that does good at this test but doesn't leave a lot of water behind. So what we do is measure the water left behind using a paper towel, which we weigh before and after the test on a very sensitive scale, and that gives us a water penalty score. We then combine the water penalty score and the stain reduction score to create one combined mopping performance score. And the big winners here were tied for first place: the Tineco Floor 1 S9 Artist Steam and the Narwal S20 Pro, both with 175 points. Second place went to the Tineco Floor 1 S7 Pro with 170 points, then the Tineco Floor 1 S5 Pro 2 and the Roborock Dyad Air with 169 points, where the average score was 138 points. We also did a glow-in-the-dark wet spill test, but we found virtually no difference between these machines, so we ultimately decided not to even score that category, since they all seem to be effectively equal in that regard. The final factor we took into account was their reliability, measured by what we call Amazon 1-star review percentage. This tells us how many customers have given the product a 1-star review, which we consider a good signal that something might be wrong. Things like leaks or build quality issues that might not show up in our testing window. Before I announce the winners, remember to check the link in the description where we'll list the full top 10 favorites, not just the top 5. And if you're watching this months or even years from now, that list on our website will be updated with all the latest products we've tested since this video, and we typically refresh it every week anyway to account for new data like the Amazon 1-star reviews. After adding up all the scores, the top 5 results looked like this. Our budget pick was the Tineco i5 Stretch. It had top-tier stain reduction scores, but not quite as many premium features as the others in the top 5. At number 5, the Tineco Floor 1 Stretch 6. At number 4, the Mova X4 Pro. At number 3, the Tineco Floor 1 S9 Artist Pro. At number 2, and I want to take a second to really highlight this one, the Narwal S20 Pro. As we saw, it was tied for the best stain reduction score. It has most of the same advanced features as the number 1, and it's about half the price as the number 1 machine. And in the real-world home test that I did, I just enjoyed using the Narwal S20 Pro more. It was significantly lighter than the number 1. It had self-propel too, but it was more forgiving if you wanted to go different speeds. And most importantly, it had a better system for dealing with solid debris when emptying the dirty water tank. So I recommend the Narwal S20 Pro strongly as our best value pick. Nevertheless, our number 1 overall winner for 2025 was the Tineco Floor 1 S9 Artist Steam. At the time of making this video, this was Tineco's flagship hard floor cleaner, and it really showed in our testing. It was tied for first with stain reduction, and it has every advanced feature you could possibly want. You'll find links in the description to all the winners, as well as to the Vacuum Wars Top 10 Hard Floor Cleaner list on our website, and be sure to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you leave. Thanks for watching. All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuum Wars website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new top 20 robot vacuums list, which is updated weekly.